Okay, welcome guys to Sam's Pretty Paranormal. I am hosting the two biggest Bigfoot researchers that's making headlines, making waves in the Bigfoot community. They got a lot going on, and we're going to talk about that right at the end because I want you to plug all your stuff. Okay. But I wanted to interview you. I got a few questions. I'm making a documentary about Bigfoot, and who better to go to than you guys, right? You got a lot of knowledge. So, all right, the first question that I'm going to give you is,
thank you.
Messner wrote a book in 1998 describing what he encountered in the Himalayas in 1986. So he described what he saw as being a hybrid of a polar bear and a brown bear. But in your own theory, what is it that you feel that Messner could have seen? And do you have your own theory of what Bigfoot's DNA could be created of?
Wow. Woo, coming out the gate swinging. So yeah, there's a lot of talk about that Messner incident. I mean, I just go with the general community. I exactly, right up on it in a sense. There's juveniles, you know what I mean? I believe Yetis, when you grow into live in different geographical areas, like humans, we tend to be shaped different. Heights may be different. The sun hits us different. So you got people that live in the North Pole and people that live in the Caribbean. So, totally, and everywhere in between, and they all look totally different. So I truly, and it could have been in the phase of getting its camouflage, so to speak, where it's born like for instance, baby deer has spots, and then the spots go to the woods as a full grown deer. So I think a lot of that might have been phasing out into the area around them, which would be white. And the Yetis are generally known as gray or white, goes with the area so they can live. I mean, we have, lizards that do that, right? We have other octopus that do that. They could camouflage with their area instantly. And I'm not suggesting that that's what a Yeti can do. I'm saying they all have some kind of certain area, like what we're dealing with right now in the woods that we're in right now. There's been chaos through here. They're hard to see. We've heard them run through the woods, right? But I'm sorry if that answers your first part of the question. Wojo, what do you feel if somebody saw like something like that, like a half polar bear, half bear? You know what I mean? Like, would you feel the same way?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wojo here?
Yeah, yeah. It depends on like the area that you're in, and it's with the sunbeams down, things like that. It's just to be camouflaged. They could just blend in with the nature, and there's been incidences where people like they have supposedly seen Sasquatch where the Sasquatch is like they think it's black, but it's not. It's actually light brown. So the colors tend to change on the direction of sunlight. But yeah, I agree with what Richie says.
Yeah.
Out of that, you said, what do we think?
Yeah, what do you think Bigfoot's DNA could be like? Where did he come from? Where was the starting? What do you think? What's your theory?
Dimensional. There's a lot of talk about earthbound. I'm open to the combination. For me, I feel I'm dealing with something that's earthbound, flesh and blood. I have had incidences of cloaking, so which isn't far off from the animal kingdom either. but I've also had infinite incidences of infrasound, which isn't far off from the wildlife kingdom either, which is weird, and that's the one that stands out to me. But there's a lot of animals that can. But I do believe that there is some grow as a researcher, and the mind opens up a little further, and I have incidences of one print or something running and I can't see it, and there's no trees crashing and no branches breaking. Those instances I've lived through. So I have to go with what I've seen and believe. Not just I've had an experience of something running through the woods with my daughter, and being a paranormal investigator first, I looked over at her and I said, what are you experiencing right now? And she said, something big is running at me, but I can't see it. The same exact thing I was experiencing. And there was no crashing, there was no branches breaking, no trees smashing, just footfall. And I said, hit the game trail. And I walked backwards while she ran to safety. She was like 15, I think, and she still talks about that story. So, yeah, so I believe it's a combination of two. Humans get taken up into space. I mean, abducted. I have no idea. You know what I mean? I have friends. There's Pac-Man Paranormal with Greg Yost and them. They have all. I can't speak on that. You know what I mean? That part of it.
Right.
I can bring you up damn close to it. I'll tell you that.
Right. Well, I know you spoke of like. I know you spoke of where you guys think it could have they could have come from, like the giants. So we've had that discussion on your podcast before, where you thought maybe they, could have stemmed from the biblical standpoint too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I think it's in the book of Genesis, and I think it's in Leviticus. They talk about the Nephilim.
What do you think about that? I believe that's
and about about giant creatures, and supposedly that they might be cursed. But generations later, it's the giants you're talking about. There was a story about the Lovelock Cave and how these these two guys that went into a cave, and what they do is they search for bat poop, and they stumbled upon 5 10-foot mummies, and they found a lot of other artifacts, and including a slingshot, which is very unusual to be here in North America, where everything is like in the Middle East, biblical times. So in Nevada, these giants they're like big red hair creatures, and they had a war with the Northern Paiute Indians, and for hundreds of years. And then one day that the Indians filled up the wood of the cave and burned them. So they trapped them and killed them. But they took some of the female giants and supposedly mated with them. I mean, that's it's interesting.
That's written in the book.
It's written in the book. I mean, think about it. Red hair creatures, but then you have like the Bigfoots of today, were dark hair creatures. Indians were dark haired, and the things that they do with their thumbs and create like structures out in the woods to find homes and where the water is. So a little folklore behind that.
Right. Okay. Well, going into my next question. So, because I know you guys, I don't know if you have experienced this or not, but so Messner went to an Indian newspaper in 1986, and he was trying to explain his experience. And when he did that, he faced a lot of criticism and backlash from it. And so he waited till 1996 to write the book and publish it about his experience. So during your research and having conversations, have you guys experienced that same criticism and backlash from people that doesn't necessarily believe in a Bigfoot?
Yeah, I could speak on that. Yeah, I've dealt with some, and to be honest with you, I can relate with him. I had experiences in my backyard for a good 8 years solid, and um, I didn't want to come out and tell anybody. I had kids growing up there, and I was nervous of people flooding the area, obviously, but I was also afraid of the ridicule and things like that. So I didn't really say anything. And then, as you know, I lost a son in 22, and that just opened up the doors of passion in my heart, and I wanted to share what I was experiencing with the world. And it's a subject that I truly love, but kept inside. It's like a true love you have, and you don't want to tell the world yet. Some guys, maybe write a book about it, and they have the mystery person. It's weird, but it's like that. And the passion I had for it, I just kind of came out and was like, listen, this is what I believe. And I've had friends walk, really, you believe in that stuff? I'm like, I don't really just believe in it. I experience it. That's why I share it. I don't share things I don't experience. So, because that's lying. But I've dealt recently I've dealt with one person that, took a picture of a track I have of Sasquatch that me, Wojo, and these legends, the Vogel brothers out in Western Mass, we all found a track together. We're 4 experienced guys. They're wilderness experts. They had their own company for 20 years showing you around the wilderness. They know what they're looking at. And he drew like bear tracks on it. Says, oh, that's a double step bear track, and blah blah blah, and whatever. So I don't get into that stuff with them. You know what I mean? All I did was, my reply was to send the picture of the video of the 3D rendering of that track. And there's no bear claws or anything in it. So there are ways to counter. So yes, I have experienced that, but it's more recent. For the most part, if you focus on the 90% of people like yourself who love and support us, it just trumps that, and you can ignore it. Like, I'm sure looking back, if he probably wished at one point in his life that he had talked about it sooner and had that courage to share that. And not that he didn't have courage, because he did eventually share it, but you don't want to live with that what if, right? So yes, there is criticism in this field. There's criticism in paranormal field. There's criticism in all walks of life, working, walking, talking, driving. There's criticism everywhere, man. And you got to learn to just, have fun with it. Because that's what I do. You see my shows. I have fun with everything, and I always have a witty comeback. So if they think they're going to come on my show and criticize me, they're going to get something thrown back at them. You know what I mean? So, and not in a negative manner. We'll turn it into a joke and have a good laugh. Not to make fun of them, but it's in a way of just lightening the mood and then banning them. No, I'm just kidding. So yes.
Yeah.
We do deal with that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I had several people that approached me, and they laughed and think I was crazy, but what I just do is just throw it right back at them. And the way I do it is this: I've known you guys for this many years, and you think that I would just put myself out in front and create something that's not real? And how about this? And I challenge them: just go put your boots on, walk with me in the woods with me and Rich, and we'll show you what we see and what and what's happening. So it's kind of like put up a shut up. I don't have to really else to explain, like footprints, things like that. Well, we're down there feeling the toes and things like that. So it's not easy to say that's a toe, but when you're feeling with your hands and being physical, we're out doing the work. We're not sitting back on a couch and just criticize and say, oh, that's wrong. That's not a real picture, or Richie holding that up, that's a double print. No, but that's why we try to agree and disagree is one thing, but just don't kind of criticize and walk away from it. That's why I just say, put your boots on and come out with us.
Yeah, yeah. In a negative manner, you're not gonna get any research done. And research is, the definition is a quest for facts, and that's what we're out here for. We're searching for facts. It's a quest for facts. It's self-explanatory. if we have healthy debate anywhere in this world, it'll be a better place to live, right? Healthy debate keeps everybody checks and balances. You know, we believe in structures. The community does not. You know what I mean? And that's okay. I'm not afraid. I will show you that the magic whirly wind did not make and cannot be explained by nature. And that's okay if you don't see what I see. And when I brought Wojo out here, I didn't say, oh, look, could you see it? And then explain it to him. I just walked over to it and said, pointed. Like, what is your, what's your opinion of it? Hardly any words. And I let him draw his own conclusion as a hunter and somebody who's been out in the wilderness a lot with his family. And here he is, still here. So that says a lot. You know what I mean? And the funny thing is, Wojo, after we're done here, I'm pretty sure I found another hut. I'm standing in it right now.
10-4.
Oh, Lord. See?
Look at the
findings in real time.
Look at the ground. Look how matted down that ground is.
Wow.
And you have to walk around the back of it to get in. And there's a little water area right here.
That's
so these
amazing.
are things that people be like, oh, you're nuts. And I'm like, no, because something's been in here, laying down. And it's big. It's not a deer. It's big, man. It's like 7, 8. It's a 7-foot, 8-foot area of just compact. Look at compact compost. And you walk over here, and it's all fluffy. You walk over here, and it's compact. Again, open for criticism, but I don't care.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's good to have debate, but like you said, you can't find the facts unless you research. And I like that.
Yep. 100%.
So when I've read so many stories that, people, when they experience seeing or just feeling that there could be something around them, or especially if they see a Bigfoot nearby, there's often a smell that is put off, and it's pungent. So that's what I get from a lot of people, that there's a pungent smell. So you can weigh in on what you feel like, what describe that smell, and why is it coming from Bigfoot?
Sorry, yes, I heard your question. I apologize. I have a co-host yelling in the background because his phone died. Come on into this hut right here and join me. You have to go around. Look at this place, dude. Yeah, look at this place. Cool, right? Check it out. I'm going to answer that question in just a second. Sorry, everybody. We are live right now on an investigation, which is kick-ass, and Wojo came up with the idea of just doing it now. And I love it. It's great. I hope you guys don't mind the little ad-libs or whatever, Yeah. Look at it.
Yeah. Look at the size of that.
Yeah. It's all matted down, bro. So here's Wojo now because his phone died.
Sorry, Sam.
It's okay.
AKA Meathead. So now we're in this suspected Bigfoot hut on an interview with Sam. So yeah, talking about the smell. So for years, I didn't smell nothing. For years, I didn't smell anything. Wojo comes out, and all of a sudden there's this, it was weird. And I said, dude, do you smell that? And he's like, what? I go, I smell like, it was like a strong odor of urine. Like old stale urine, you know what I mean? And I was like, dude, and it kept coming and going with the wind. And I'm like, oh, something's moving. Like whatever it was on was moving. And one night we were out there at dusk at my, you want to stay in the camera, sir?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the broken stick right here.
I know, it's amazing. Sorry, we're finding things out here. And I looked out at this print, and it was right at dusk. And I don't know if you were on that live or not, but something ran by us at about 60, 70 feet from us, crashing through the woods. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I found this print, and I said, dude, I smell that smell. It smells like pee, He goes, what? You smell that smell? I go, oh, it just went away. And then 30 seconds later, like over this direction, boom, 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 right through the woods, crashing, banging. It was crazy, man. So yeah, we have had that smell. It's fairly new to me, which I don't know why, but I guess that's up to them, right? So yes, and everybody else I've talked to talks about the musty dog smell, the skunk smell. I believe the skunk ape smell that they get in Florida is related to their diet. Other people don't believe that. That's fine. It's just my theory in a sense because of the abundance of skunk cabbage. So I have skunk cabbage on my property, and it's ripped up like twice a year. And I read about skunk cabbage. I researched this stuff. So, how long does skunk cabbage last? When does it, when is the best time to eat it? Months and stuff. And it would talk about how in October it should start dying off like everything else. Well, in June it's gone, and then it's back in late August, and then it's gone again. And I mean gone, not like chewed on with little deer teeth, like ripped, like popped off, like you would do on plants that annual or perennial, whatever the hell it is that you clip and they come back the following year. That's generally what skunk cabbage is like. So yes, so I believe that there is an odor that goes with them, and it makes sense. Again, geographical, right? So you go back to that, right? Your food source, things like that. So we have experience. I know Wojo has, and again, I'll let you speak. You're a hunter, and you know.
Yeah, I mean that smell. I mean that was just horrific. But that's when I first started going out with Richie, and I think it was like 3 investigations in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're moving, it disappears. But then it just comes and goes like every hour. But like you feel like something's watching you.
Yeah.
And I think that not that I promote this and say this, but I have to say it. But when you're walking a long way and you're sweating, and your pores open up, you give up let's say if you had liquor like the night before, stink.
Mm-hmm.
That's another possibility. They just roam around.
Right.
So and I agree with Richie. There's a ton of skunk cabbage and things that you eat that give off that smell,
like liquor.
Yep. and skunk cabbage.
Yeah.
So
right. Exactly. Garlic's one.
Mm-hmm.
You go down that list. So there is a mix of that with the food source, plus the hygiene. I mean, they're not exactly out here soaping up every day in the river. So,
but we also had another incident in this area that me and Richie just got a big whiff of it, and then it disappeared. Came back in. Now, if here, walk away.
yeah,
it's like
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
little kid stuff. Just like
I know,
house.
right? Oh my goodness. But yeah, I really like that theory a lot. It makes sense to me, and that's the first time I've ever heard it put that way. So yeah.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah. So, having prior experiences, your first footprint that you found, would you believe that could have been fuel to the fire of your belief in Bigfoot, or what was the first thing that fueled your fire? If it wasn't, because I know you found a lot of footprints, so very interesting. But would that fuel? Did that fuel your belief in it?
Yeah, I think when I found footprints, it refueled my fire, right? Not that I ever lost it, but you don't realize the level of fire you can actually have for something, right? And I had so many experiences with trees snapping and breaking and finding crazy structures, the dream catcher, the 40-foot X, all these things that just absolutely generate you. When you're standing there staring at them, you got goosebumps and chills up and down your spine, and you're like, something with thumbs did that. You know what I mean? So that was so exhilarating for me. And to hear trees snapping in my backyard while I was doing yard work in the middle of the day, oak trees just crashing in one pull. Those things go through you and they stay with you forever. But then we were out in the snow one time with Wojo, and we found like it was an 18-inch just print, and it's on my YouTube as well. You could see the toe separation in it, and we had a trail, trackway, but this one was the most defined. The next one was like a hill, but all the other ones were just. What it was is it snowed and rained, ended with snow, and then went to 0 degrees. I called Wojo and I said, "Dude, now's the time to get out there. This is when you're going to find a print." And sure enough, we found them. And I posted it on my YouTube as well, and I think my Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, they all have this print, and it has a little baseball bat next to it, and it's crazy. So yeah, that absolutely. And then there's the one out here that we found, and I believe you were on with us as on the side, as always supporting us. I moved the fern out of the way, and we all saw that print sunk like 3 or 4 inches into mud. It was absolutely astounding to where I pulled out this app called Scaniverse, all one word, CANI verse. And I was able to do a 3D rendering of that print. And you could see where the toes went into the mud. and almost where it pulled up and took its next step. And that one I casted and completely screwed it up, by the way. That was the worst casting I think anybody ever saw in their lives. But it was my very first casting, all exciting. I don't care what it looks like. It's on my desk or on my podcast. You can see it every night in front of me. And I don't care what it looks like, but that's my damn first cast, and I'm not taking it down, all right? But since then, we found a hail. We found a hail, what was it, like 7 inches wide?
6 inches.
About 6 inches wide. And that one we did a 3D rendering of also. It was just a hail, and the rest was like hard ground and peat moss. So you couldn't see the front of the foot. You could see where the hail landed. And you put your hail next to it, and you could put, a hail and a quarter of yours. It was just so wide, huge. That is also a terrible cast I did. I'm learning as I go with that stuff, But I got some good people in the field. They're going to teach me and take their time and show me how to do it right. But anyways, I have it. It's evidence. The 3D rendering is huge. Again, with the double bear print comment the guy made, I was able to pull up the 3D rendering and put it as a reply. I didn't say one word to the guy. I didn't get into it. I just put that there, and now he can do his own math. So good enough, right? But yeah, so whenever you're doing this stuff, try to find, just like paranormal, investigate and look for ghosts, try to find more than one source of way to collect the evidence, and try to find one or more than one source of evidence in itself. So you look over and there's a branch broken, it's fresh, but there's a print underneath it. Well, now you got 2 pieces of evidence. So it adds to the validity of your research. So it's very, very key that you try to do those things. You're not always gonna. Bones nearby. We found what was standing, I think this is a hut, to be honest with you. We found 2 or 3 of these huts over on the other side of the woods, and out front is a shattered deer leg, and it's shattered. I live in southeastern Massachusetts. There's nothing here shattering things, not without puncture wounds or something like that. This is broken in half so hard it's fractured down the middle, and all the bone marrow is sucked right out of it. So now we put these huts, what we suspect to be huts. There's a huge 17-inch impression in one of them. And there's a bone out in front, shattered with no bone marrow. Now I have 2 pieces of evidence to say that those huts are true. So that becomes my 3rd piece of evidence because of the other 2 pieces of evidence I found. We found.
And then the footprint inside.
And then the footprint inside was the coup de grace. That was the icing on the cake, as they say, right? So yes, you get a renewed exhilaration that you didn't know. You're here on this level already, high as a kite, and then you find something like that, and now you're up here, but you stay up there. You don't come back down here. You stay up there, and then it's like more and more and more. And you got to have a good support group. My beautiful fiance, Jessica, like I just talked to her, she's, still not feeling well. I'm like, I got to do the interview. We're going to do it right here. She's like, take your time. You know what I mean? Do what you do. Right. So if you're doing this as well, make sure you have a good support group, around you. You know what I mean? It's huge, really. So yes.
And also to add to what Richie's saying, which is like, well said, is that, if you have another source, like let's say it's me and Richie, the first thing we do is right off the bat is start grabbing your tape measure, things like that. And then one guy feeling the toes, and that's how you just work together and have these discussions on what we're seeing and what we're doing. So, and if like we had a storm coming, before we found the footprint, what we do is that you cover the footprint very carefully, and then come back as best you can. Then come back, and then you can again try to make this casting, things like that. Things ain't gonna come out pretty, but I'll tell you, it's there. Just cover it, and that's how you try to get your evidence.
Yeah, just things you don't think of in the general sense of life. You got to learn them as you come out here.
If you don't have a tape measure, put a dollar bill
for size or a lighter, or whatever.
Lighter, anything that you have. Maybe lipstick.
And document with a camera. Document with video.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Remember that time you used your lipstick? Like,
no.
That's so funny. That's what I would do.
Right. That's why I do it.
Right. Yeah. So, let me see. So in recent interviewing, I had experiences with someone that had actually seen Bigfoot, 2 of them to be exact, and I think it brought a level a little bit of level of fear because of not understanding what exactly he's looking at. Because, like Wojo, he's a avid hunter, has been since he was 16. I mean, a long time, and he couldn't make out. He was like, "Wait, what is that?" So, have you guys ever possibly seen Bigfoot, and what was your response to it? If you haven't seen Bigfoot, what do you feel your response would be?
So for me, I've been flanked on 3 different occasions that by myself before Wojo, and I don't go out alone anymore because of it. So there's a lot of fear associated with it. I got familiar with the flanking techniques that they use. I've had them 60 feet away from me, probably the closest. I've had one growl at me from the other side of a thicket, kind of a bushy area. I got that on video as well. You can hear it going through the trees, but you can't see it. We've had them run by us, like I said, 60, 70 feet away from us, crashing through the woods. The last time was in the daylight. I believe, again, you were there for that. When the phone went crazy and the screen came up black and all that weird stuff happened technology-wise. I could see the trees moving up high, higher than a human, and I could see the like the dark colored, I guess it would be fur. I'm not going to say I saw fur because that would be a lie, but I saw the black shadow type of whatever it was bolting through the woods. It came straight across and then took a left, his left, and just kept going. And you could see it through the thick of the trees, and it was bushes mainly. In that area is all like these little gray like sticks. See all the sticks?
Yeah.
So you could imagine trying to see something through that from 60, 70 feet away. When it's a little bit darker out, it's very difficult. So I've had those experiences in that sense. I have not had the 40-foot high. How you doing? My name's Rich. Please don't kill me yet. I've had enough fear to know that when that happens, not if, when that happens, there's going to be a lot more fear associated with it. We were here last night, standing out there, and there was something bipedally walking, and we all knew it. There was 4 investigators here. We were on a live. We had a video going, and you could hear it just nonchalant. It wasn't running, hustling. It wasn't worried about us. It was trying to get away from us in a sense of hiding, but it was very, very casual. And one of the investigators with us, I looked over when I heard the gentle walking. She took a step back naturally, like kind of backed up. And yeah. I said, yep. I can get this. She goes, I wanted to go towards it, but my body just said nope. So, and you've been out in the woods and you've heard, we've had those moments with the whistling and all that stuff. You had goosebumps and everything else, right?
Yeah.
And you have a general sense of fear too, because we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, when you hear high breaks, I mean, I'll back it up. When I was, being a hunter, I spooked a moose, several moose. And what's crazy is when you spook a moose, when they start running, all these deadwood trees will crash and boom. Your hairs are standing up. But, in this situation where it's about 60 feet away, to hear the high snaps, that the ground shaking when they're walking, it's like 4 steps, crash and all this high mass, just all these thick branches, and then it just dead stop. That's the amazing part. Dead silent. You're hearing chaos, and then it just boom, just stops. And it's just, to me, like the energy that you're getting off of this. It's just riveting. And not only that, last night though too, we saw some. I don't know if we believe there could be eyes up in the tree, but when we got from a distance, and then as we got closer to the wood line, it dropped. And that's, to me, like, that's not normal.
Almost like it was blinking. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and then
like actually, eye blinks, not like blink, but like eye blinks.
And then as we got closer, that's when
the scurrying started.
Now that's when we we can't see it anymore. And then once we got to the tree line, we can hear walking, little snaps to our left, where what Richie was explaining to. And I go, I bet you that was probably a juvenile, possibly up in a tree, because they say that their eyes glow.
Yeah.
And it was trapped.
And we went over there today, and there's actually an impression in the compost.
Yep.
In the leaves and the pine.
Several.
Yeah, and several. And there's scurrying where I knew he was hunkered down, hiding from me. Yep. I went over there to investigate this morning with these guys, and sure enough, you could see activity over there. Yeah.
That's
So,
why we're here now.
Again, two pieces of evidence, right? So we have that activity last night. We all witness it. We come back out today. We do our due diligence and we go to that spot. And now there's activity over there where there's a clear print and then scuffling all around the area. So, and a fresh tree break, by the way, that we know we heard.
Yeah.
So it all ties in to add the validity to our research, because we bring it to you strictly because we want to share it with you, right? We don't have to bring it to you. It's more about our research. It's just that we have people in it, and yourself and everybody else is witnesses to a lot of this. So you add to the validity. You have specifically added to validity when you heard that whoop, 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 behind me, and someone said it was a dog, and you were like, I got my headphones on. That was not a dog. And that right there is doing research, and having more eyes and more ears involved is what's best for the field of research. So not for the entertainment of YouTube, not for clicks and views, for research. It just so happens that's how we have to communicate. You know what I mean?
So
What?
Sam,
Right.
that yell, yo, woo, woo, woo. Well, we heard the same yell, yo, like that last night as we pretty much ended our investigation. And I yelled again, but it went further down. So it was across the way in the woods.
Yep. It moved or whatever.
But it's just that yell. It just sounded like that same guttural yell, but without the whoops.
Yeah, last night was crazy. We're gonna have some stuff coming up from his phone that we're gonna post and share with everybody.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, it was
Wow.
like a construction site out here. We were sitting in the parking lot, and there's banging down there, and there's banging over here, and there's
And then
yelling.
dead silent. Like
And then-
dead silent.
As soon as we approached, got halfway towards it, it just went. You couldn't hear a cricket. You know, it was crazy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah,
That is amazing. Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
We love it.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm excited for tonight's live, by the way, because I want to see if you catch anything else, which you probably will. It's so active.
Who knows? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
We're going in my backyard, and it's after my mom's celebration of life, so it'll be a little bit later tonight, but which is good.
Right.
We're gonna have my daughter
Yeah.
there with her friends, and we're gonna let them a fire, and then we're gonna go out in the woods and kind of see what comes into them.
Oh, wow.
Bait.
Oh, that's going to be, you're
College
using them as
kid.
bait.
College kid bait. Nah, stay tuned.
Right,
for Band
there you
Richie B,
go.
as we use college kids for bait.
Right. Well, it had your daughter's already had an experience with one interacting with her, and if it's the same, if they sense her there, yeah.
Very
It
good
could
chance,
work.
you know what I mean?
Awesome.
Yep, very good chance. And I've been
Yep.
out by that same fire pit and had sticks come through the woods, so you can hear it hitting branches. So yeah,
Wow.
pretty crazy. Yeah, we're blessed though. I feel like I've been chosen as opposed to just being a Bigfoot researcher. You know what I mean? It's a little different
Right,
for me, I
yeah.
guess. I don't know how everybody else feels. I can only speak for me.
Yeah. Well, so last question. So you've come across so many amazing evidence in the Bridgewater, because that's where your general area is located. You have spoken about structures, and this is the part that I find most interesting, and not a lot of people know about. So, what is structures, and why do you feel that Bigfoot creates these? I mean, they're massive sometimes.
Massive, yeah. So structures are a big deal to me because I've documented them like vigorously from the start. I didn't have to go way out in the woods and get myself in danger. They were always close to my backyard. They were always at the end of my game trail. It seemed like there was always a message to me. We think that there's multiple reasons. I'll let Wojo talk about the hunting ones, but I'll discuss the ones that I have found on my, I have found very, very, very extensive structures, not just a tree break, a 90 break or something like that. But as you know, the dream catcher, it's up on my YouTube. This thing was probably about a 40-foot tall oak tree, probably about 8 inches around, and it was bent all the way down to the ground and held down by logs. So it created this big arch. And within that arch, there was pine trees that were snapped, no roots or anything, nothing. It looked like they were brought there. And it was set up in a little different ways, slanted across, and there was one going up through the middle. So I called it the dream catcher, and I did research on the dream catcher. And upon my research, I found a book written by Christopher Noel from Vermont, controversial Bigfoot guy, but he did make a book, and it says, what does it say? Field Research Guide to Bigfoot Structures, it's called. And on that cover is a damn close rendering of what I was staring at in my backyard. And I just was frozen, man, when I found that book, and I'm blown away by it. And then I opened it up, and a lot of the structures in my backyard were in that book as well. I'm not saying that's the Bible of the structure world, but it's really weird. I find a book written in 2016, and here I am in 2021 staring at this thing that I just can't explain. Not only that, is I take pictures of the area of the game trail. At the end, I would do panoramics and stuff, and I would know what my backyard looked like at all times. And this one particular time, we went on to do a little clip with WBZ Radio and Matt Shearer up here in Boston. He's a local reporter. And I walked out there with him, and there was this 40-foot X standing there, perfect symmetrical X, about 40 feet tall. Both tops were rested on skinny pine trees with no bark that were basically dead. The tops landed right on them, and there was one stick going right through the middle. And I stood there like, what was that? We got tons of pictures of that. Me and Wojo in the X, and, you know, my fiance, my son, like, it was a big deal. And obviously it wasn't there, and I think it was August. It wasn't there, and then October it was, I believe, is when that interview happened. So about a year ago that happened.
Yeah, it's like during the fall.
Yeah, so, you know, so I knew what my woods looked like. I knew that wasn't there before. You know what I mean? So nobody could tell me that the magic whirlywinds did it. Nobody could tell me that humans were out there doing it, because my property is very specific. You have to have reason to be out there. I mean, now, you know, they've built a trail out there and people use it more, but this is when that wasn't there, and it was just straight woods. And you had to have reason to get out there. In some areas, you had to crawl in order to get to the other side of the clearance, you know. So a lot of wetland, a lot of peat moss. Nobody's just walking out there just making 40-foot X's and bending trees and all that stuff. So no, and the way I do it too is I work from the top down, and I literally try to wither away the theory of nature. I don't go, Bigfoot did that. I don't do that. I go, can Mother Nature do this? And then I work backwards. And by the time I get to the bottom, I'm either yay or nay. And in these particular cases, I was like, there is zero chance that Mother Nature made those. And I mean zero, especially the Dreamcatcher. The Dreamcatcher, one guy said to me, oh, that's kids out there. I said, yeah, with an engineering degree and a come along, it's just not happening. It's just not happening, man. Nobody's doing that. Definitely not in these locations or any other location. How many times do you hear it? But I believe that they were tight with the Native Americans. They use these things for different pointers, water source, food source. We believe they use to block off game trails and redirect game trails to where the deer thinks and has a memory and goes that way, and then all of a sudden it's completely different. And they have to take a left or right, and by then it's too late. Their legs are broken, and the, you know, legs are shattered, and the bone marrow sucked out of them, right? So, and Wojo, we found those points up in northwestern, north central Mass.
Yeah, which is incredible.
Which was crazy, right? Like corrals.
Yeah, I mean, my first investigation was with Richie up there, and to see these trees that are probably about like 6 inches to 8 inches in diameter, and to see them in a 90-degree formation, and see that it's like the torque that the tree in the bottom where it broke off, it's twisted and the fiber is still connecting. That's just unnatural. I'd never seen anything like it. But I think we saw maybe like about 8.
Yep.
A total of 8, like 2 on each side, maybe about 30, 40 yards apart.
Yep.
And then kind of shrinking in.
Into a point.
Into a point.
Yep.
And I've never, you know.
They were slightly off the ground by like 3 feet, remember?
Yeah.
They were like almost floating. It was weird.
And to see so much game, I've never seen like torn up paths of deer in my life.
Right.
And I can see where they can cone off an area and have like some sort of an ambush.
Yep. And corral them. And like I said, you know, fool the deer. You know, like the hut I'm standing in here now, you know, it could be an ambush hut where out here, a deer goes by and he's hiding where we're standing, and he jumps out and just, you know, forearms their legs, and that's his food for the night. So it's very possible. So, you know, I always tell everybody, I think it's for marking, maybe some clan marking. It's for some food, you know, blocking off trails for food. It's for pointing to where water sources is. And sometimes it's just, you know, for fun. You know, what else you got to do? You're in the woods 365 days a year, 7 days a week. I mean, you know, they don't have Xboxes, you know what I mean? They're not running around with an iPad, you know, so they're building stuff, they're making art. And I have a video on my TikTok, it's literally named Bigfoot Art. And that's what I believe, you know.
And it could be warnings too.
It could be warnings. The X is like, you know, don't go beyond. Everybody sees X's as bad. I don't know if I buy into that. You know, it could be a message to me at the end of my game trail, you know, directly. Because I've had one, I had a game camera up and I was right on the end of my game trail and I came out the next day and after taking the SD card, I kind of ran out of there. I was a little nervous. I was getting watched. So I came back the next day to put the SD card in, not that night. And there was a mound of, as you call them down south, prickers, all over the middle of the path with broken sapling trees stacked on it. And the game trail direction was completely changed. You couldn't go in front of the camera no more. You had to walk behind the tree to get to it. So that was a message. That was a message to me. We don't like your game camera. You got to do something about it. So I took it down out of respect for them. That's what I do. So,
and one last point too, Sam. What's very important when it for is that when we tree structures and stuff like Richie's dream catcher, the shit broken. Well, Richie had a picture of what the dream catcher before the angle that he was on. And then I said, how about what we do is just take a picture at the aftermath,
reenact,
you know, and just reenact, like try to find the same spot, which we do. And that seems to work. Whenever we find structures out there and we come the next day, you know, we take pictures and we come back the next investigation, all of a sudden things change.
Yep.
And you kind of wonder what just happened. So we're scouring through our phone with all these pictures and try to validate, match them up. So that's why we go try to find the similar spot that you took the picture. And then that's when we show it to the audience, like, hey, this is a before and after. And it's unnatural to us because you have a big tree that it was moved like away from the actual breaking point of its stump, another 2 feet, 3 feet. Unnatural, backwards.
Yeah, somebody moved it basically, and what he's talking about too with the dream catcher, where it was a perfect arch, and I had a picture of me in front of it underneath what was called the suspended tree. We went back and reenacted that, and I stood underneath the suspended tree, which is old and hanging lower now. But behind me, you see like a letter A because the arch was snapped in the middle at the 12-foot peak. At the highest peak, it was snapped in the middle, making the letter A, and all the sticks that were in the middle of it were scattered all over the ground, like it just destroyed its own work.
And who finds a letter A in 2 different areas?
Anarchy, baby.
Anarchy, baby.
Yeah, we found the anarchy.
2 different A's in 2 different spots. It's like about 2.1 miles away.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep.
Wow.
So there's a lot of meaning. There's a lot of different meanings to them, and I love whenever I find one, to be honest with you, and get to study it up close. And you see me with the baseball bat pointing and walking you guys through it, and we're very specific about it, explaining why we don't think it's Mother Nature, not why we think it's Bigfoot. We explain to you why we don't think it's Mother Nature, and that you need thumbs in order to do that.
Right.
And that's what we're explaining. We don't just go up, oh, look what Bigfoot did. No, we go, hey, Mother Nature did not do this, but whatever did has these. So that's a very key factor. It has to have a thumb in it. Not a pushover from a bear, not a rut from a deer, none of that crap. We know what we're talking about. And I've been doing this a decade now. And I've seen all kinds of things in the woods. And these things are not natural. So to answer your question, it's a little bit of everything. And sometimes it's just freaking entertainment. So,
and physics too. If you're a mathematician, physics is huge out here because you try to debunk on how a tree breaks over here from its breaking point, but yet it's over here and things like that.
Yeah.
And you always look above you and see.
Work your way down.
Work your way. Yeah, exactly. Work your way down and just try to find out like what's going on in this area. That's the thing. You look from the ground up and work your way around.
That's right. Remember, we're researching. We're on a quest for facts. We don't know everything.
I like that saying. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's my most favorite part. One of my most favorite parts about is the structures. There's just it's incredibly interesting how that's coming to be. Like you said, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
huts, like,
Well,
we found 4 huts, and we found 4 huts where the pine trees limp over, and they all come together.
They're not broken, they're bent.
3 points, they're just bent.
Still alive.
And this is why we also reach out to other resources. Because I have a friend in the forestry in the University of Georgia.
Yep.
Because down the south, he searches for invasive bugs that is destroying the forestries down there.
We use experts is the point. Yep.
And I would send him all these pictures, all these tree structures you're talking about, Sam. And he just called. He would just say, "Wojo, I don't know what's going on up in there in Massachusetts, but all my years being out here, I've never seen anything like it."
Yeah,
So
don't use the accent.
yeah,
Don't use that. He does that stuff. So we're talking to people in England. He's talking about crumpets. I'm like, dude, don't do that. I apologize to all my Southern friends for that little.
I love the South.
You can edit that part out. Good Lord. All right.
Well, I really appreciate you guys taking the time. I mean, you're right in the middle of an investigation right now, so that's incredible. So this is showing what you guys do, and I like that.
This is what we do. And
on her show, we find Richie finds a hut right here. Yeah. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all
right.
It's all around. Right. This is a perfect little. See where Wojo's standing? It's a perfect little screen. And where we heard the noise coming from, I think, too.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Yeah.
So awesome. No, we're glad we could be part of it. We're very grateful for you, and we wish you the best. And you can follow Banter with Richie B on YouTube. Hit the notify button. You know when we go out live. TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, all Banter with Richie B, all right? So make sure you follow us, like and subscribe, hit the notify button, and make sure you keep climbing. You understand? Always keep climbing. We're always moving up. We're always moving up in the world, right, Wojo?
That's right. We smile and have a good time.
Yeah.
And hey, keep climbing and boom. That's what we do.
Boom. Boom.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam.
You're welcome.
You got an A+, just so you know.
Yeah.
I just gave you one. You hear me, Professor?
Thank
no, just kidding.
Right. Thank you.
All right.